Hello there, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba.
I'm John Humphrey.
And with us is Cut 2.
What's up, guys? Omni here.
Omni, not Omni One Media. It's Omni Media. Michael B. You've probably heard us shout him out several times. One of our top patrons over at Patreon. He has his own YouTube channel. I've plugged his channel on our community page before because he's great at what he does. Reactions, reviews, a lot of insight, a lot of commentary. And he had this video request that I was like, you know what? I've seen enough of your videos. Why don't you just collab with us?
Make the video yourself, damn it.
So his video, we want to just tell him what the request was, Michael?
Yeah, with the Joker movie coming out later this year,
How did you
kind
say
of taking that? What is it?
How'd you say that?
Joker movie.
It's a Joker movie.
The Joker movie.
Jukebox movie.
Coming out this fall, kind of taking a realistic psychological approach on a classic villain that we all kind of know in one way, taking a different angle and spin on it. I posed the question to you guys, what other fictional villain would you like get the same kind of psychological grounded treatment?
Man, we should have put some thought into this video.
I put at least a bit of thought into this video, actually.
I feel like Michael probably really mapped his shit out.
You've got like one of those boards with the red string, and tacks, and like clippings
It's
from
like,
newspapers.
oh, he's got a whole outline.
Yeah.
I made this decision yesterday.
Yeah, so guys, make sure to go to Michael's channel. Seriously, it's great. There's a reason I've taken the liberty to plug it several times. Yeah, I guess, I mean, I got a few. I figured it'd be fun if we kind of just, you know, talk the shit, or whatever the people say.
Which is a perfect segue into my villain. The shit monster from Dogma. No.
It took us an hour to figure out a way to do this. So, by the time we figured it out, we became brain fried, and now here we are.
By the time we settled on an inefficient way to do it.
Now it's like, all right, now
it works.
Whatever works.
Let's hope this works, or else we've just got a waste of footage here.
It's all good. It's gonna work, guys. Let's not hope. Let's know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe.
All right, I'll kick this off. Yeah, I mean, going in theme with DC and the Batman universe, I feel like what a lot of people probably jump to, you know, outside of the DC universe, you'll hear a lot of people say like Doctor Doom and whatever. And I say nay. I have one that could be really grounded, really cool. It was one of the earliest Batman villains I ever became gravitated towards. Unfortunately, he made an appearance in Batman Begins. And that is Jonathan Crane as the Scarecrow.
That was one of my choices, too.
The origin... Did you choose
you got me
Scarecrow?
there.
We've done it!
We're all on the same page here.
The one
I have a
character
backup though. I foresaw this maybe being a crossover. So
well, what origin did
2.
you come up? What origin are you drawn to from?
No. You wanted to start this off. Go right ahead, buddy.
I was drawn. There's several different iterations of Jonathan Crane, and the one that the first one I read, which I think is how he was introduced. I remember being in the North Hollywood Public Library, just flipping through a bunch of graphic novels, and this one was when he was a professor at school, and he was teaching on about fear, and he brought a gun to the class, and he fired it out, like something about getting a reaction out of students, and he got fired for that, and he wanted to get revenge on the professors and everyone at the school, so he became a thief. But I feel like you can go obviously deeper than that and really explore the elements of fear. Sometimes when you make an anti-hero or a villain a main character, it can limit that fear capacity. But with the Scarecrow serum, or not the serum, the gas or whatever the hell they call it,
toxin,
that really allows itself to some crazy visuals. Michael, do you watch Gotham? I forgot.
Yes.
Well, I really like when the Scarecrow shows up in there because you get a lot of crazy ass, like just straight up creepy pasta kind of horror visuals. And I think that's one thing I would really love to see. I think it'd be cool if you even got like Ryan Murphy to direct it or something like that.
Well, the thing is, like, you have so much sinister backstory with the Scarecrow too, because even like the childhood of the Scarecrow is like really messed up. And
Yeah.
like the way like he grew up with this like super draconian like religious upbringing where they would like lock him in this like stone shed as punishments and stuff like that, and like really torment the child that was Jonathan Crane.
Yeah, you
to the
don't.
point where he actually like kills his family.
You really get to
Yeah.
see why he's obsessed with fear, and it's like usually some expositional villainous cliche line, but it would be cool to really explore, like really underline that word, why, why he is so, why he believes in fear so much,
And the struggle within him over fear and everything that comes with it that eventually consumes him and leads him to becoming, immersing himself in it and taking it as his weapon and as his symbol, you know?
Yeah, don't talk, Michael. I don't want to. No, I don't care.
Michael,
I don't care.
shut up.
We brought you here to listen to
okay.
us.
So a little tweak to that origin, like because in the same version that you were talking about, I do recall that he kind of like they ran a farm. That was where he kind of got the symbolism of the scarecrow. But I wanted to when I was thinking about it, I was like, how can we dive a little deeper into this? And I kind of like melded some ideas from another movie that did this not so good, and that would be Rob Zombie's Michael Myers film, the Halloween movie.
Not so good.
You just
okay,
insulted
no.
You
John.
want to go?
No.
You want to go?
Hey, I like that movie. I just
All
think
right,
that
all
part of that part of
All
the
right.
story kind of took a back seat, if you ask me.
You're
towards
making
the end.
things very awkward, Michael.
I'm sorry. Anyway, think about a kid
That did
growing
not
up
seem
in this kind of
sincerely
setting.
Sorry, I don't mean to throw you off your pitch, Michael, but we appreciate.
fight.
You're never going to be
sincerity.
an actor if you can't sincerely apologize.
Or a YouTuber, apparently.
Oh no, you don't have to sincerely apologize for anything.
No, you don't need
just
to be.
pretend
You don't need to be
sincere.
sincere. I'm sorry. All right, cool. Quit messing around with you.
It's just the words, right? But like he grows up in that setting, you know, slightly abusive family. But if you kind of go only a little. But if you go into the aspect of phobia, you go with the kid that naturally just has a fear of practically everything. I can't remember the name of the phobia.
Pantophobia.
The one's like all of it.
Yeah, from Charlie Brown.
And just that becoming like a thorn in his life, to the point where in his formative years, maybe bullied outside of the home, stuff like that, much like young Michael Myers was. And then the mask or the persona becomes a defense mechanism. After a point, he dissociates from the Jonathan Crane and creates this protective persona to kind of shelter the child, kind of like if you watched Iron Fist season 2, except also probably better executed.
Which character went through that in Iron Fist?
What was her name? The assassin that was hunting him.
Oh yeah. She was great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Alice
I loved
Eve.
her.
Alice Eve. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steve, no way. Sorry, I know that name.
But yeah, just kind of like see that kind of degrade, and then it becomes this protective force in the way that Batman ends up using his fear of bats as kind of his own weapon. But we would see kind of like it come out of a form of self-defense to shelter and protect his mind. Maybe they're not even like in cahoots, kind of like they maybe switch personalities like that same character.
So like a dissociative
In certain
identity thing.
situations. Yeah, exactly. Maybe something like that, rather than just I was afraid as a kid and bullied, so now I'm going to just thieve and murder everybody.
Yeah.
And that would actually work well along the line. I think the way we all worked this one pitch was great. I think this is how the writer's room for Terminator Dark Fate went down.
Definitely.
Yeah. I have a general idea. You elaborate more, and then he solidifies.
Dude, this is the dream team right now. We need to start making pitches.
I roll the dough.
Yeah.
You put the cheese and the sauce on, and he bakes the whole
Bake
thing.
that shit. Put it in the oven.
That's how we do it.
That's a final draft
'Cause
right there.
evidently, Michael had a much better finalized thought on this idea. And we did. I've always thought it'd be. This is just a side note. I've always thought it'd be cool to do kind of a villain mashup movie where of like in those like Batman stories where, and they do this with like a lot of comic book characters too, where all like the rogue gallery come together to fight Batman, but they're still the villains. Like that's how those comics work, and Batman's still the hero. I always thought it'd be cool to do one where you get kind of these like solo origin movies of these characters, and then when they team up, that you capture the focus point from the villains, and you never see Bruce Wayne. You see them, you see the villains and how they view Batman, and Batman's essentially treated as the villain in that movie. Yeah, you treat Batman as he's the bad guy in the movie. I feel like that would be a unique approach.
That would be interesting. And like if taking this same concept, we've kind of writer's room together here. That could be something that comes up towards the tail end. Maybe he's finally growing. This persona's helping him overcome his fear, and then
the Batman steps in and kicks him.
And then in the final after credits scene, we see him counseling Thomas Elliot, and we can set up a hush for sequel part 2.
Ooh, yes.
Because there is history of that in the comics.
Did you see that's the next DC animated film?
Yeah. I read the comic so many years ago, and I barely remember any of it.
And I have hushed many times in my life.
Yeah, I usually tell them to hush once a day. But I don't know. On a separate note, like completely separate note, I also thought like some other villains that I would like to see origins to, and I feel like this might be a bit of a cliche choice, but I get the impression Marvel themselves is very interested in exploring Kingpin's origins. When you look at Daredevil, like you really get into the backstory a lot of Kingpin, and even in like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, you get some real personal identity for Kingpin. But one thing that the movie, the Daredevil show or Daredevil movie too, or even Spider-Verse, they don't show you is truly his rise to being Kingpin. You don't get that. In like Daredevil season 1, you see his backstory and what made him the monster within that he is. But it would be cool. I think it'd be really neat to see that. And I don't know exactly when Vanessa, in terms of comic book lore, when Vanessa comes into the Kingpin storyline. But I know in the comics, Vanessa's like they're kind of like, king and queen together. And I think Daredevil season 3 really started hinting at that potentially happening, but of course it doesn't come into full fruition. I think it'd be neat if you kind of toyed with some of that lineage, really see the rise of Kingpin, not just see his childhood, but see what made him Kingpin, but also have the love story, the dark, twisted love story between him and Vanessa, and they kind of rule as king and queen by the end. And then Daredevil shows up at the end and kicks him.
It shows up at the end and kicks him cinematic universe.
That's the end of every one of these pitches.
Except for like when we really throw the audience a curveball and put it at the beginning and then cut to 5 years earlier.
Hey, you do have that instance in a lot of these storylines where the hero, unknowingly creates his villain. So, I mean, that could be the beginning of the film.
Look out, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Just a swift kick to the face.
A man in a brightly colored costume or a darkly colored costume came up and kicked me.
Just out of nowhere. I was just walking down the street.
It's a crime. That's a cool idea. I like the Daredevil kicks him universe.
I mean, do you guys have like other villains?
Yeah. Oh, I do. Do you?
Yeah, I had a backup just in case the Jonathan Crane happened to be unanimously picked.
That's the one, man.
That's so funny because you messaged me saying, do we want to share our thoughts in case we have any overlap? And I'm like, nah, it'll be fun. We'll just
There's so many villains out there.
I didn't know what John was going to say. I didn't know you were going to say. I'm like, oh, we all picked the same one.
Scarecrow is among my favorite comic
Just to lend itself to a grounded villain introduction, Scarecrow makes the most sense.
I feel like even more so than the rest of the gallery, really.
Yeah, no, totally.
I got one up my sleeve that could work, but it's a long shot. But you go first. You go first. I want to hear this.
Okay, my backup was, well, it kind of bends that rule of realism But when I mean realism, just really the real way in which the psychology is put into play or question. And I feel like with the Star Wars prequels, we didn't really feel that. Now, I'm not saying rewrite the prequels, not by any means. We've already seen that story. Why retread it, right? But what we didn't see, or what most people don't see, in the beginning, what was Anakin's life like as a slave child?
We
depressing.
What is your ending to that movie?
He breaks out and becomes Michael Myers.
Qui-Gon Jinn shows up. That's the end. Just go lead right into it.
We're going straight forward to some movies people don't like very much. But your extreme youth is going to be fascinating.
But the whole thing with Qui-Gon Jinn is when he stopped being a slave afterwards. When Qui-Gon helped buy gamble his way out of slavery. So you would still need all that episode 1 stuff to complete the arc from slave to non-slave.
No, you don't. It just ends with that. Because just like with Rogue One, it just ends with the beginning of A New Hope.
But the main character's journeys end, though.
Is partway into that movie.
that is true, I guess.
Like Jyn Erso's journey ends, and every one of the characters, they die.
Because they're all across town in the galaxy.
And then they show you the Darth Vader tease and Leia tease and all that, but they don't...
It could be the race in which he lost his last speeder. The whole build up to that.
You know, I didn't think I wanted to see a movie about plans for the Death Star, so maybe you're right.
Yeah, I want to see the story of how Anakin very nearly got out of slavery, but leave me wanting more, because that's how movies are good.
Well, the thing is, the thing that always kind of bothered me about Episode 1 is you meet him. He's
not enough of a slave.
He's living this slave life. And he's running around yee-heeing like nothing's the problem. But then later he's like, I grew up a slave. It was awful. But he had what seemed like the dream job for him. But then he always reflects on it like it was this awful thing. But we never really got that impression. But obviously it's supposed to have informed on his character later in life. But it never really never in on it.
Well, they cut out an hour of beating sequences.
Yeah, I want to see a movie of a little boy being beaten the whole time.
Fix those droids faster!
12 years old, a slave.
When
and
was
then
he
you could just have him
again? It's too good.
And then it ends with him being saved by the white man.
There you go.
Magical Caucasian.
I didn't realize we could pull from other fandoms.
Villains, yeah. Well, hey, I mean...
The Night King. I want to see what the fuck's going on with that guy.
It sounds like we might be getting that,
I think we
so
should
I'm
get
not
a
sure.
whole show about that guy who gets stabbed.
Well,
and ultimately just wiped out in a really rushed chain of events.
That's the thing I realized about the Night King is I don't want to know more about who he is or what he thinks. I just wanted him to have more impact that would last beyond that's fixed. But anyway,
Pop goes the Night King.
Do you still have slave stuff, or can I?
Go right ahead.
Slave cinematic.
Go ahead. I will not interject.
Okay, mine is a little left of center, but the more I thought about it, stick with me because I think it could be a cool off the beaten path villain movie in the style of Joker, but with a different genre fusion going on. I have long had a fixation, an affinity for the DC villain Solomon Grundy, and I thought this could be neat because the story of Solomon Grundy warps a lot over time, especially across multiple books, and so you could have him start as this low-life thug, and, he gets killed, he gets dropped in, Murder Swamp or whatever it's called, and Slaughter Swamp, is that it? Yeah, Slaughter Swamp, there we go. And, he's resurrected from there, but in the old fashion of zombies, where he's kind of a mindless creature, but over time and over regenerations. The thing is, every time he gets killed, he rises again from the swamp, which is, a pretty mumbo-jumbo-y thing, but each time he comes back, he's a little bit different, and he picks up character and intellect over time, and eventually becomes something of an anti-hero. So in his earlier and mid stages as a villain, he winds up with a lot of other DC and Batman-centric villains and is often made their pawn, but eventually he wises up to that and wants to leave that life, and does, at least arguably out of happenstance, wind up doing some heroic things and helping the heroes at times. So I thought what you could do is make a supervillain origin movie that has, you know, a certain level of like low-life crime involved. That's a very familiar place to exist for these things. It kind of reminded me of, like, you know, that Joker comic book they released after The Dark Knight, where it's like from the perspective of a different guy in the gang. I thought you could kind of take that idea and fuse it with a Frankenstein sort of story, because Solomon Grundy is a character that you can, at first, yeah, he's going to start out kind of lifeless once he first resurrects, but you could play a really sad and a really touching kind of character growth out of that, I think, if you had, you know, enough time and elements to play with. You know, you could get your crime, you could get a Batman and Robin cameo in there because they've had run-ins with him, you could get other villains, and you could also have him rise from being a criminal to being a mindless zombie to being actually a person who wants to have some kind of life, you know. So, I don't know. I've always been enamored by that character, and so I thought as a villain origin, that could be kind of cool.
Well, I think you need to flesh it out a little more.
I think I should.
And then you might have an idea.
I might. I could. I don't know. I just heard his name, and I was like, that one.
I think he's got a 6-movie arc right there.
Cyrus Gold, let's do it.
I want 6 movies of
Solomon
Solomon
Grundy.
Grundy.
But here's the thing. You could approach it that way too. You could do a straight up, like, you could, every movie he could be completely different. Don't change him over one movie. Just change him from movie to movie, and you can have 6 Solomon Grundy movies, and that will still not tire people out.
You could even stretch it to 7 movies, and then
split the last one.
You know, the first one born on a Monday, and just go through the whole week.
Dude, oh, see, you're the oven man. You're the bake.
You're the oven.
I got the shake, and you got the bake, and you are the guy who puts the little spritz of love on top of it.
It's the salt meme guy.
Yeah,
I'm like the involvement James Cameron had on Terminator Dark Fate.
Yeah, you're gonna be the thing that gets everyone excited and believing in this.
The one who goes, sounds good.
And you're selling all the tickets.
Boom. Yeah.
Besides Linda Hamilton, who's gonna star as Solomon Grundy. Either that.
I mean, it does seem to be a trend to, you know, swap up character, genders, races, and stuff like that.
I want Solomon
inclusion
to be alive, black, gay, disabled, old, everything.
I think what the MCU should do, and I pitched this at WonderCon Movie Fights, they should do a movie about the Mandarin.
It's a good idea.
Like the real Mandarin. The one that Marvel one-shot teased that we never got, that Kevin Feige every 3 to 5 years is like, no.
We're gonna do it.
He's still out there.
He's still out there.
We
still got Mandarin stuff.
I mean, we killed off Tony Stark, but, you know, he'll make an appearance.
Now that Iron Man's out of the way, let's get his nemesis in there.
Right?
I thought an Ursula movie could be cool.
I mean, Mandarin has a crazy backstory with
he does.
With the yes, he does. Being like a warlord, obtaining the 10 rings. He has multiple different backgrounds. Some of where he's like orphaned and then raised by like rich like aunt or something, and then banished from it. But either way, he, like the power of the 10 rings and becoming a warlord. I think that'd be really cool. And I also thought it'd be like interesting to toy with the title of the Mandarin, because it's over time been perceived as a rather racist title, obviously.
Right.
And he really just likes those oranges.
Yeah, it's not about his race.
You can't choose your nicknames, man. You just gotta eat one food all the time. What do you expect?
It's actually just about him in a class learning Mandarin.
Yeah.
You're that guy who's learning Mandarin, right? I'm gonna call you Mandarin. They say China's on the rise in the global marketplace.
But to have it be like a nickname that other people called him, you know, that he didn't bestow upon himself, but you know, he sort of embraced.
So like every other MCU character who never uses their own
exactly.
moniker.
But he can say that, like, he can even acknowledge it's kind of racist, actually. But it's the name that people have come to fear.
If you acknowledge it, people can't criticize it.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's how you do it.
That's
you
how you
just
fix
point it out. Yeah. Because you pointed it out, it's not a problem anymore. Well, anyway, I mean, I think should we wrap this?
We should
We're going on.
I mean,
we're going on like 30 minutes.
We're going on 45 minutes here. I don't have any other notes. I don't think, man. That's
An hour and 45 minutes if you include the whole runtime.
We want some people to watch this video.
Yeah, leave your villain. I mean, I didn't flesh out an Ursula movie, but I do think an Ursula movie could be pretty cool. But that's all I got today.
I think they should make another attempt at a Catwoman movie. Because you got like Tim Burton's Origins, which is like Tim Burton's origin, and then
For a second, I thought you meant a movie about
Yeah.
Tim Burton's Origins.
and then you got that terrible Halle Berry one. The Catwoman origin that I was drawn to was the one from Batman Year One, where they slightly borrowed Dark Knight Rises, slightly borrowed from it, but they swapped out a black girl with Anne Hathaway, but you know, having that really just poverty-driven life. I think in Year One, is she a prostitute or something like that?
I don't think she was, but she had this little like sidekick that I think was not really sidekick, but like her little
friend that she looked out for.
Hired that prostitute.
Yeah. But I think
her Foggy Nelson.
Yeah, I think something like that would be really cool to see. You get you know, the fucking Lupita Nyong'o to play her. Anywho, yeah. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time once we finally got it going.
It took longer to set up than it did to film this video.
It truly did. But hey, man, that's how gold is made.
All right, guys. Well, make sure to pitch your villains down in the comment boxes and which ones you'd want to see. I know everyone wants a Doctor Doom movie. Don't worry, they're working on it. Michael, thanks so much for being here, dude.
Yeah, man.
Thank you guys for allowing this to happen, even though it was the biggest chore to make happen.
It's okay. It was worth it.
Before we filmed, I was like, I don't know if I want to film anymore. But this ended up becoming a lot of fun to film. This was a lot of fun to film.
Hey, if this works out, we know how to do it like right out of the gate next time.
So Omni Media, go check out his channel. This guy has a lot of great reactions, a lot of great reviews, obviously a lot of very insightful commentary. So please go check out his channel. You can subscribe to us, click the notification bell, hit that like button. We'll catch you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.